Okay, excellent. Okay, great, guys. So listen, this is something that I discovered when I was at varsity. I was following this guy that was a philosopher, and he identified four questions, or he emphasized that there's four questions that people ask in life. The first question that they ask is, "Who am I?" Okay, so who am I? Like, we don't really know. If I ask you that question, um, I think all of you would have a difficulty in saying anything else than, well, my name and it's what I do. This is what I like. But the the thing that I realized is that who am I is not a question that has an answer by itself, but rather it's made up of the answer that we give to other questions. So the first question, this is a question of identity. So the first question that you actually need to answer for yourself before you can have this answer of who am I is, where do I come from? Like, and so what we've been doing for the dynamic program is we've been breaking up these four questions. So we're breaking up these four questions into four terms. And in the first term, we looked at logic, at reasoning, and the emphasis there was, I have to begin somewhere. I have to have a starting point. And so this was where we started. And so I'm just going to give you a little bit of background onto why we are doing what we're doing and how we got here. But this is a question of origin. Where do I come from? And so there's different ways to answer that question. And it comes down to what you believe. So, for example, some of you, probably most of you, believe in God. You believe that you were made by a creator, a person, a mind that created all the universe, that had a design and a purpose in mind when he did it. And so you believe in a creator God. And if that is what you believe, that's obviously going to influence how you answer, how it affects on how you think about yourself. It would be different from someone who believes that they are the random mutation of natural processes through a big bang, everything natural. There is no mind or personality behind the universe. A person like that, or a person that believes that, would think differently about themselves and about who they are than someone that believes in a God, for example, or someone that believes in many gods, or that they are one with the universe. Those kind of things answers the question of who am I. Now, most of the dynamic program students, if not all of them, said they believed in a God. So we went with that perspective, starting with I believe in God, and if I believe in God, then I'm going to ask and answer these questions. Well, not ask them differently, but I'm going to answer them starting from that position. So, for example, last term, the second term, we looked at, why am I here? So again, we answered that question from the perspective of someone that believes in God. So if you are someone that believes in God, then obviously you are asking this question and you're answering that question with the intention that I don't decide why I'm here. I didn't get to choose why I'm here and for what purpose I'm here. I was created, if that's what you believe. I was created. So the creator gives my life meaning, gives me a purpose, made me for a reason. And we looked at that in our term 2, is what gives my life meaning? What are the purposes of my life? What do I live for? Okay, so that is the third question, well, actually the second question, where do I come from? And then the next question, why am I here? What is the purpose of my life? Okay, now the question that we're asking this term is, where am I going? What is my destiny? Now, that is like, there's a reason why I'm here. There's a reason why I'm here today, but I'm not going to stay here today. I'm not going to, everything I've accomplished up to this point is not everything that I'm going to accomplish with my life. There's more to my life. So there's a future. And again, it depends on how I answer that question. Where am I going depends on one, why am I here? And also, um, what is the origin? Who created all things? Like, what is the ultimate final plan or the final destination? Someone that's maybe a Christian could believe in that my final destiny is heaven. Someone that believes in purely naturalistic explanations for the universe says the final destination is the heat death of the universe. I'm dead and then I'm gone. And so the way that someone would live with and answer this question from the one perspective would be different than someone from another perspective. And it doesn't help us argue at that point. It's not meaningful to, I can have a destiny that I believe is my destiny based on what I started with. Someone else would start with a different assumption. They do not assume God exists. I do. So we are going to have different answers to this question, where am I going? Okay. And then the last question, sorry, before I get to that, where these two questions interact. So remember, what we're trying to answer is, who am I? Now, these two questions, my meaning and my destiny, defines my purpose. It defines, like, what am I going to do with my life? What's going to give my life a purpose? It depends on my destiny and my meaning. The last question that we're going to answer, um, the last question that we're going to answer is, what is right and wrong? Morality. How do you know what is right or wrong? Or the other way I put it is, what is good and what is beautiful? We're going to focus on that in the last term. But for term 3, we're going to do that. Where am I going now? But just to show you this diagram, so this defines your passion. So your question to why am I here and what is right and wrong defines what is your passion. You won't be passionate about something that doesn't give meaning to your life. Okay, so passion is gives meaning to your life. You also won't be passionate about something that you know is wrong or is evil or is simply not right or good or beautiful. What is good and beautiful, right and good, that will emphasize what you are passionate about. And the same goes for your potential, what you're able to accomplish. Okay, let's say you don't think there's anything wrong to to be ambitious and step over as many people as you can in order to get to the top, whatever the top is for you. That's not wrong for you. Then your potential is different than someone that would say, no, I do think that is wrong. I do think it's wrong to step over people and be cutthroat in order to achieve certain things. So those two people will have different potential. So part of how you answer what is right and wrong, your potential is determined by this question, where am I going? If you don't know where you're going, or if you don't have a vision in mind or a destiny, that affects your potential, because you wouldn't strive for that, you wouldn't aim for that, you wouldn't go for that. And at the same time, if you think something is right, is wrong, you will also not aim for that because you think it's wrong. And so that affects your potential. And these three things, your purpose, passion, and potential, come together to answer this question of, who am I? Okay, so here's my first question for you. I want you, before we get started, just get something. If you have a little journal or something that you could use, that would be ideal, so that you can keep track of the questions that we're going to ask and the things that we're going to answer. And I promise you guys, this is going to have an impact on your life. It really is going to have a positive impact. So I'm going to ask a question. I'm going to ask you to write it down. So just get something that you can write on, ideally something that you can keep, like a journal or a diary or something that is going to be helpful. Or if you just have a book, a workbook or something, a loose paper, fine, but make sure that you put it in a file and that we can reference back to it at the end of the next few weeks. I'm going to give you a moment. Let me go out here. Just give me an indication on if you're ready. Just give me a thumbs up if you're ready. Good. Okay, that looks like most people are ready. Now, I didn't see a thumb. Maybe you did send it. I didn't see it. Are you ready? There we go. Right. Let's get started then on this question. Here's my question. Why? Well, I don't know if you have that. Here's my first question. Before that other one shows. Why do you study? Like, I'm going to give you a minute to think about this question. Why are you studying currently? write down that question and write down just in 1 or 2 sentences, why are you studying? Okay. My next question, in the same vein, but a little bit more specifically, why are you completing matric? So all of you are currently studying towards matric. Some of you might be upgrading your marks, which means you're working on a qualification. Why are you doing this specific qualification? Why are you completing matric? Or improving your marks or adding a subject? Okay, some of you might still be writing, but let me ask a few of you. And sorry, guys, I'm struggling to see you as well as run the screen at the same time, the presentation. So I can't see whether or not you finished or not, or otherwise I'm going to have to keep stopping it. So I'm just going to ask, as I remember, go ahead. Share with me. I'm going to see if I can sign in on my phone. Maybe that helps. Share with me, some of you that don't mind sharing. Please don't feel compelled. Why do you study? Who's willing to tell me, why do you study? Why are you studying? You welcome. Don't put up your hand. I can't see who it is. Just go ahead and speak.
Um, I think I study because I want to improve my marks because I have a end goal that I want to achieve one day.
Okay. You study for marks to achieve your goal. Okay. Good. Thank you, Tyler. Who else?
Yep. For me, it's both short term and long term, I guess. Like multiple. Like short term is obviously to do well in the marks, but long term is you'll have consequences because if you don't do well now in your matric, you might not do well in your university, and then it'll be harder for you to get a job in all of those. So I guess that's my reason.
Okay, so just to understand what you're saying, you say you study, and then your immediate, the reason why you study is so that you can do well. And
Yes.
then the reason why you want to do well is, one, to get good marks, and two, because you think those good marks are going to affect your future opportunities. Do I understand that?
Yes, 100%.
Affect future opportunities. Okay. Great. Please go ahead. Thanks. For that answer. Anyone else?
For me, I think studying is more about obtaining knowledge about the world. Even though we feel like we won't use some of the stuff that we study right now, we'll work towards other, like in university, work towards the knowledge that we will use in the future, for our passions, for our jobs, for your goals and our goals and visions. Well, for my goals and visions. So I feel like studying is working towards studying for what you want to do, for your passion. Even though you feel like you won't use the things that we learn right now.
Hmm. Thank you. Who is speaking now?
Oh, it was me, Sharon.
Sharon. Oh, thanks, Sharon. Sorry, I can't see the screen yet, so I'm trying to go on the voices, but I don't recognize everyone's voices. Thanks, Sharon. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we can go ahead. Okay. Um, just a quick story from me. I did very well at school. I could go study anything I wanted to. I got accepted for everything I applied for. I chose actuarial sciences because I wanted to make a lot of money. So when I was at school, if you asked me why did I study hard, I think it was part of who I was. I was academically strong. It gave me um, it. I was proud of being a good student. Um, we were very poor, so I knew it would improve my life. Um, I wanted to be rich though. I wanted to be very rich. So I chose the career, the highest paid career, which is an actuarial scientist. So I studied actuarial science. I left school. After I left school, I started studying. I was not a good guy though. I was getting into drugs and drinking, and so my life was not in a good. I was not in a good place. So my first year at varsity, I was actually studying through NISA. I failed my whole first year. And that obviously, you can imagine how that affects your identity when you've been the academically good student, now you're failing. So then I went to UP, to the University of Pretoria, and I continued my studies there. I figured, okay, the reason why I'm studying is my friends that are a bad influence. Um, Sorry, not the reason why I'm studying. The reason why I'm doing poorly is my friends are a bad influence. And so I went to university. It was better to get classes, in-person classes. Still continued my poor um, life decisions. But in my second year, my life really changed, and this was where and again, I'm not trying to make this a religious affair at all. I'm just sharing you my story and how my answer to why do I study changed. In my second year, my life changed. I got saved. That's how we would say it in Christianity. I got saved. Um, I I devoted my life to live for God, and I stopped studying what I was studying. I was in my second year. I wasn't doing too badly. I was just passing. Um, but my reason for studying had to change. So I took a gap year, and in that gap year, I decided to just give that year to discover why am I here? Like, what is the purpose of my life? Like, what should I live for? Why was I made? And in that year, I discovered that I'm a teacher. Now, in terms of a pay scale, like why do I study? So, in terms of pay scales, teachers on one end and actuarials on the other end. I did not want to be a teacher because they don't earn money. They're poor, and I wanted to be rich. So I fought it tooth and nail. I didn't want to be a teacher, but all the doors closed for me because I didn't really do that well at varsity. I just got through. So um, I figured, okay, instead of becoming a teacher, I'll become a professor. At least they earn more money. But I couldn't continue my studies because my marks weren't good enough. So I went back after 2 years at varsity. I went back in my after I took a gap year in my third year, and I completed my degree. But this time, it was different. Now I wasn't studying for a qualification. I was studying for one purpose, is I needed to become someone. I was now called to be a teacher. And now that was necessary was not that I pass. And so I like the answer that Sharon gave here at the end, because it was similar to what I realized. I didn't study to pass. I studied, I learned because I needed to understand in order to become what I should be. You understand? It wasn't about the marks. Okay. It wasn't about the qualification, wasn't about the opportunities. I needed to become someone that I was not yet. And the things that I was learning was supposed to shape me into that person that I needed to become. Does that make sense? And so my first term back in my third year, I completely failed for the second time in my life. My first year I failed. Now I was failing for the second time in my life. I had a gap year. I was battling. The biggest reason I was failing is because I met my girlfriend, who later became my wife, and I was madly in love. So I really battled. But I changed my mindset from looking at something like failing as instead of looking at it as I was failing. For me, it was a measure that I'm not there yet. Like, it was just measures, this much you don't know. And I completely changed my mindset. And from my second semester in my third year, I started getting distinctions. I got the one subject I failed, I got 96% for in my final exam, because I now knew what I didn't know. Like, the test showed me what I didn't know. And now I just needed to now know those things. And I realized I can understand anything. It must be possible. If something is reasonable, I can understand it. And so I just completely changed my mindset. And I finished with straight A's, my degree in mathematics. And you guys now know what the rest of that story is. I am a teacher. I'm actually a business owner, and I employ teachers. My life went in that direction. But what I wanted to focus on here is the aim, guys, of what you want to accomplish. It's, if I'm studying now simply for the marks, simply for the how can I say that? Simply for not just the short-term thing, but the external things. It's not about the external things. It's about what I am supposed to accomplish. And everything I do now, everything should work towards shaping me into that person that I should become. So it's not about the marks that you get. Like, yes, good marks are going to give you opportunities. And I don't want to denigrate any of your reasons, but this is part of what needs to change about us. We need to look at the world completely differently. Everyone looks at the world like this. And most people do not become what they're supposed to be, because they simply do it the same way as everyone else. Okay, but let me get to the next point. Okay, having a vision for your life. I want you, instead of now going too far in the future, we're going to take 15 minutes. I hope 15 minutes is going to, yeah, 15 minutes is going to be perfect. We're going to take 15 minutes, and you don't have to do this. This is completely up to you. You can sign off now and just listen, or you can take the opportunity, and I want you to write for 15 minutes answering this question. What would my life look like in 5 years for me to consider myself successful? So I want you to imagine yourself in 5 years. Some of you will be 21, 22, 23, 24. And I want you to think of what your life would look like in 5 years. So write for 15 minutes about yourself and what you would want to see. So you're project yourself 5 years into the future and write a little paragraph about what you see about yourself, and you want to be so impressed with that person because you want to consider yourself as that I'm successful. So obviously you're not going to be at the height of your career. It's not about that. It's going to be in 5 years, you are really happy because for the success that you've obtained over the last 5 years. Okay, so for 15 minutes, write about the person you see yourself to be in 5 years' time. Does everyone understand that question? If you don't, just speak up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, here's some areas in which people find meaning in their lives. So if you struggle, so you don't have to follow any of these. You can ignore all of this, but if you struggle, if you're not sure what to write about, here are some things that you can consider, because these are the things that give people meaning in their lives, that makes their lives worthwhile living, waking up. Maybe you have, you're a believer. You can say about what you think about your relationship to God, your personal situation, your personal state. Like, are you happy? Are you adventurous? Are you, like, just say a little bit about your personal situation? Married? Are you engaged? Do you see yourself? Some of you would be a little bit young for being married, but maybe you hope at that stage to be in a relationship that is going to, and my hope for all of you is that you get married, because it's one of the most amazing things in life. So don't wait till you're old to get married, and don't try out a lot of different relationships to test out which girl or which guy is going to be the best person to marry. Like, find that person, pursue that person from a young age. So don't think marriage is too far in the future for you. Okay. So think about that. Would you be happy if in the next 5 years you were in a relationship with a person that you want to spend the rest of your life with? Okay, then obviously that is a worthwhile pursuit, something to consider about. Friends, family, the rest I don't think I need to explain much. Your career, your job, your studies, your finances, your health, and social contribution. Like, are you at all volunteering somewhere or things like that? Okay, 15 minutes starts now.
So
Yeah.
I just realized I'm only going to be 20 in 5 years' time.
Great. That's really fine. Think of 5 years or maybe early 20s.
So I do want to ask a question. Since like I'm going to be like 22, and the things that I consider that I need to achieve to be successful, it takes a lot of time. So I don't know how to, do I need to stay in the mind of 5 years of what I can do in 5 years?
Yeah. So part of what we're going to talk about today is what we're focusing on today is what is success. So I want you to look at yourself in 5 years, and part of what we're trying to understand is, what do you consider to be success? Okay. So answer that question. Like, imagine you're successful in 5 years' time. What would that mean?
Okay. So
Okay.
no,
Even if,
like, yeah. No, it's just like, can I achieve what I think is successful in 5 years? That's what I don't think I can. But do I need to envision that I can?
well, you could if you want to.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah. If you don't think it's going to be there in 5 years' time, but you will still consider yourself successful. Yeah. So obviously you're not. The question is not, you're looking back on your life and you want to be happy about the success you have had in your whole life. So some things are going to take longer, but in 5 years' time, surely some of those things would be
Okay,
there. Okay.
thank you.
Sir,
Yeah.
can we like answer each of those areas? Can we answer them like separately in a paragraph type form? It's
Yeah,
like,
you're more than welcome. Yeah. So the whole idea is that you just create a picture of yourself in 5 years, and these are just helpful things to consider. So you're not graded or anything. It's creating a picture of yourself in 5 years.
and if you can like answer them now, do I need to give you the answer, or can I just keep it to
No,
myself? Or what?
this is going to be personal, very personal. Yeah.
Ah, okay, okay.
Cool. 5 more minutes. Okay, 1 minute. Okay. And now we'll get to dissect a little bit what we've done. So this was just the beginning. I don't know how you guys found it. Maybe you can just give me a little bit of feedback. How was it? Was it difficult to do? Did it get better as you went along? Did it help you think of things you've never thought of? Did you help you? Yeah, give me a little bit of feedback, especially.
Yeah, so
Oh, okay.
Is that Nail?
you can go, no?
Thank you. Doing this for me, it was very, very exciting actually. Um, I wrote down like a page and a bit.
Wow,
It was actually kind of
you write
easy
fast.
for me, to be honest. Yeah, I do.
Wonderful.
Because, pardon?
No, I say wonderful. No, go ahead.
Yeah, it was kind of easy for me to do because, like, since I'm in grade 12 and stuff, I always think about my future and what I want to do and what is my purpose. So I just base it on the things that I'm passionate about and good at doing. So that's why it was easy for me.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Thanks for sharing, Hannah. Who else was speaking?
Yeah, so it makes you think a lot, you know. I'm also in matric, and it makes you think ahead completely than what you normally would think about. And
Mm.
you can just think of like you can set your own goals for the 5 years and you work yourself to it. And yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks, guys. So, what I want to end on is actually what I think is necessary is for us to just talk a little bit about success, because I think part of what you will find, and I think it was my best illustrated um, with the one question, is some of our is very extended. It's very far into the future. So we're going to talk a little bit with the last few minutes just about success. And I want to ask you guys, think of someone, like someone preferably that you know personally, but maybe if you maybe just anyone that comes to mind, of someone that you think is successful. And you can write down the names in your little notebook or wherever you're writing. Just think of someone that you think is successful. And if you don't mind, share some thoughts of people you think are successful, and just help us understand why you think of them as successful.
So I just want to mention, for me, like, I feel like everyone is successful in their own way, because like a meaning that I've made of what's being successful is that you accomplish your goals, or any goals that you have. So like
That's
everyone
good.
has goals.
Yeah. Is there someone? Sorry, I don't know if you got cut off. Or I've
No, no, that's fine.
Sounds like there's a bit of a delay on my end. Let me just quickly check. Am I back?
Yes, you're back.
Sorry, I missed a little bit of what you said, but I did hear you said you were thinking of success as achieving your goals, and tell me, did you have anyone in mind that you?
That's the thing. Like, I think I can think of many people, because everyone has their
Oh,
own goals to accomplish. So I
okay.
don't know how to pick one.
No, that's fine. Okay, let's see if anyone else has someone in mind. Someone has to give me something.
So my mom's cousin is successful in his business. He does like Bitcoin and all of that. And at the moment he lives in Japan with his wife and two children, and he completed his goal of what he wanted to do. and
Is
be,
it your mom's cousin?
yes.
And you are basing it on the fact that his business is successful. Did you mean by that he's fairly wealthy?
Yes, I did. It's like
Yeah,
he made his own business and it came
his
up and
business.
like he made it go bigger, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Hi.
Hey,
So
Mackenzie.
I have someone in my life. He was a primary like caretaker in my life when I was staying in a certain area, and he impacted my life greatly because he's super determined and he works hard and he cares for his family.
Mm.
And watching him be so determined and nothing could get him down. And he installed that into me with fitness as well, because he was training me for a long time. He was SA's strongest man for a while.
Oh, wow.
Terence Vivius, yeah. But the way he lives his life so proudly and he finds joy in every single day is what I want for my future. I want to find happiness and love in little mundane things every day. So he's someone I look up to.
Excellent. Thank you. So guys, a part of what's helpful of the exercise of thinking of yourself in terms of what you see yourself as a success or who you think of is successful. And remember, what we're trying to answer is, where am I going? So success is obviously something that does lie in our future, but we can be successful depending on how we define success. We can be successful tomorrow and the day after that, and that is, and again, I'm answering this question for most of the dynamic program students who said that they believe that they were created by God. God made them for a purpose. And so if you're going to define success from that perspective, then obviously success has to be determined by what God intended you to be. And so if I am becoming that which I was intended to be, if I am more that today than I was yesterday, I'm successful. Okay? Because it's not just about where I'm going to end up. It's about, I have to get there somehow. Okay. And if I'm on the right track in that direction, I can't, let's say this, I can't be successful one day if I'm not successful along the way. Okay, a bunch of failures. Well, I don't want to say it like that. That would not come out the way I mean it. If I am unsuccessful along the way, I can never become successful. Does that make sense? So I need, in this case, if this is how you're going to understand, if this is your worldview, that you were made by God, He made you for a purpose, and for me, that was to become a teacher. That meant that, okay, if I am going to become a math teacher, then I obviously have to understand the fundamentals of maths. I have to understand it. It's not about I have to get this qualification. I had to become this person. And so every day I had to grow in that direction. So one definition of success, which I love, and you all don't have to prescribe to this. Where this is, again, this is not a religious lesson, but if you believe in God, this is an excellent definition: is to become all that God intends you to be, and you can grow in that every day and therefore be successful. The definition that is most widely accepted, like whether or not you believe in God or not, just a broad definition that even fits in with that let's say Christian definition, or let's rather say theistic definition. This definition is the one that in all the books that I've read, it kind of comes down to this same thing, that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And Danielle, you really described it very well when you were talking about goals. So I'll explain now how that fits in and what our next session is going to be about. So success is a progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So let's just break that down into what that means. Firstly, there is an ideal. So again, for the person that believes in God, that ideal is God has made me to become something. I'm working and growing towards that. There's an ideal. But regardless of whether you believe that or not, there is an ideal. There is something in the future that you are striving towards that's not there yet today. Okay, so that's an ideal. And that's where what you were saying, Danielle, is what's so valuable, is that there is a goal. There is something that I'm working towards. If you don't have a goal or goals, many goals, you can't be successful. Because how can you progress in a direction if there is no goal, if there is no space to get to? So next week we're gonna focus on goals. And guys, I'm telling you, this is really affected. It's really changed my life. It's changed my wife's life. Just starting to be very intentional about the direction in which we are going. So that's the first thing. There is a goal. The second thing is it should be worth it. Now, the reason why it should be worth it is because you're literally going to spend your life accomplishing it. So if it's not a worthwhile goal, like you're literally, the way I say it is it should be a goal that's worth dying for, because it's what you're going to be living for. If that makes sense. If a goal that I am willing to die for, if I have something like that, then that is a goal that's worth living for. So it should be worthwhile. For me to become rich, like that was my original, remember when I said, like, I don't know, it was so empty when I eventually realized how little how meaningless that actually is. I don't mean to speak down on someone that wants to be rich, but for me, it wasn't worthwhile. Like I wasn't willing to die just rich. I wanted my life to be meaningful and valuable and impactful, and well, maybe money can accomplish that in a way, but for me, that wasn't worth living for. It was what I wanted before my life had meaning, okay, because I wanted to be comfortable and happy and buy whatever I wanted to buy, but it wasn't worth dying for. So that's the second thing. So first, then you need a goal. Secondly, that goal needs to be worthwhile. And then secondly is that no goal must be progressively realized. In other words, if you can accomplish it tomorrow, it's not a goal. Well, it can be a short-term goal, but it's not it's something that should be progressively realized. So you should be able every day to realize I'm somewhat closer than I was yesterday, or at least within a few days or a few weeks, you can see you are progressing towards that direction because you're aiming in that direction. If you can wake up every day, I don't want to say every day because you're going to have good days and bad days, but if you can wake up most days realizing that I'm a little bit closer to that goal than I was yesterday, and it's not going to be because now I've got good marks for maths, or no, it's now I understand my maths a little bit more than I did before this test. I know why I did wrong. I'm growing it. I think, I don't know if it was Sharon that was also saying it. I'm gaining the knowledge that I'm going to need to use in my future for my career or whatever. Those type of things. If I can wake up every day with that realization, I am successful every single day. It's not something I'm going to achieve way in the future. It's something I'm continuously achieving, which means I'm going to be successful. Does that make sense? Like if I'm successful tomorrow, I'm going to be successful the day after that. I live a culture of being successful. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I got a bit preachy there at the end. Okay. Next week we'll look at this setting goals for your life, and you kind of started on it, but next week we'll look at choosing worthy ideals, worthy things to live and to die for. Okay, so thank you guys for your time. I really enjoyed it. I hope it was meaningful to you, and I see you all back here next week. Is it good?
Thank you, sir. It was a brilliant
Thank
lesson. Thank
you.
you.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thanks
Tyler.
so much.
Amazing.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Thank you, sir. Have a lovely day to you too.
Thanks.
Thank
Is it
you.
Ricardo?
Bye.
Sorry. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Bye.